everyone, welcome back to another week's episode. I am very excited about today's episode because this one is kind of one of my favorite areas of the home to organize because there's not as much emotion attached to it, so it makes it a lot easier to declutter and organize it. Are you ready for it? It's the linen closet. The linen closet is one place that can really build up over time that just kind of becomes a catch-all for things. I like to call it like the large version of a junk drawer where you just kind of like throw it in, and then before you know it, you open it up, you're like, what is going on here? So we're gonna walk through this recent project that I did and how you can declutter it, the importance of using bins and labels to keep things going back in the right place so you have a nice, solid structure and system that is built to last. All right, let's get into it.
So the first step in any organizing project, as I've mentioned this before, is to empty out the space completely. So you'll see here in the next video will show you how I took everything out of there. There was not a drop left in there. And the reason for this is just to clear the space so you can visualize what you want it to look like. It's very hard to try to organize a space that with stuff still in there, rather trying to, shuffle and move around. It's just easier to get it all out there and then build it all back together. Okay, so as you can see here, this place looks completely different than it did before because everything is out of there, it's clear, and now it gives us a chance to take a look at how to best organize this space. Because if all those items were in there, it would be really hard and challenging to try to organize it like one shelf and then another and just kind of moving the pieces around. That's why I always recommend taking everything out first and then building it back up. It's a lot easier to go through things, not miss anything, and just it gives you a great solid foundation to getting your space organized. Okay, so once that space was organized, next it was time to start sorting through everything by category. And so when you're organizing any space, and this worked out well for this particular project because the bathroom was connected to or very close proximity to the linen closet. So there was a lot of space to be able to take everything out and utilize that bathroom floor to sort. So you want to make sure you have a big open area with really any space anytime you start organizing something, rather than having things randomly in different location, because it makes it much harder to manage what is where and what you have, and things get lost in the shuffle. And when you have a better visual of everything right in front of you, it helps you organize it much better. Once the sorting was done, it was time to start reconfiguring the space. So the one thing that I did here was added a door and wall rack because it created more space. It freed up, allowed us to put items on the door that were previously on the shelves, so we could make some room for shelving, because you want to have a little bit of space and breathing room in there. And then really from there is reconstructing everything to figure out where it makes sense, where it should go. The bigger, bulkier items that weren't used as frequently were up at the top. So like the bedding, comforter items, and then the hand towels and pillowcases were in the middle. And then towards the bottom is where the toiletry items all went. And then after that was all done, it was really about labeling everything to make sure they go back in the right places. Now, G already did have here, which I really liked, was these boards on these wire shelves, because it's very hard to label wire shelves. So I was able to actually put labels on the shelving units just to keep items going back to the right places, especially for the pillowcases and the hand towels, just to keep things nice and separated, and the washcloths and things of that nature. And then really down at the bottom is where most of the toiletry items went. And why I put these down here is because I worked with the bins and containers with what she had. And the gray bins were the largest ones that would actually fit in there on the bottom, because they would hang off the shelf if they were on there, because I tried to put them there and they did not go there. So put them there on the bottom and then just kind of built up from there, because those items were more frequently used than some of the other items. And then, it was just, again, labeling, using the bins where you can stack them so you can create more space, and keeping everything together by category. So here is an up close image here of the bins that were available that we used to organize this linen closet. And as I mentioned, the gray ones went there at the bottom, and then there are Sterilite bins that went on the shelves that fit there nice and neatly. And then there was one other bin that she actually grabbed that was an open concept bins, meaning that there wasn't a lid to it. So it worked out well for items that she uses on a frequent basis, that you can grab the container or you can just grab what you need quickly from that particular bin. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. As I mentioned before, usually in all my organizing videos, is to know your dimensions and your space. And this particular linen closet was unique because the depth on it is not very large. So you want to make sure that you're getting bins that fit well and maximize the space. Okay, and here is another up close look at the washcloths and pillowcases. Having things neatly folded does make a difference. It doesn't look as cluttered either. So recommend taking the time to do it. It after a while may feel tedious or time consuming, but push on through and think of the end result and the end goal. So that is it for this week's episode. And I encourage you to go get in your zone and go get your linen closet organized. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on social at Organize Marie.